راغبا في كل علم نافع.
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن، ومكارم الأخلاق ندرسها معا، أدب وتربية على الإحسان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue inshallah ta'ala with Islamic education and the rights that we need to observe in our life, the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the rights of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and the rights of the companions radiallahu anhum, and the list goes on and on. And we still, when it comes to the companions radiallahu anhum, we talked about their virtue and to follow their understanding of the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to exalt them and to respect them. But also something that is the opposite of that, which is part of the rights, is to forbid those who attack them, to make sure that those who take as part of their religion to attack the companions radiallahu anhum, to forbid that, and to distance ourselves, to disloyal ourselves from anyone that would put down or say something negative about the companions radiallahu anhum. And as we heard before, when it comes to love and hate, this is not necessarily something that people like to hate someone, but yes, when it comes to religious hate, this is something that is part of the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If someone hates the righteous ones, we hate those who are righteous. So those who hate the companions radiallahu anhum, we hate them till they repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course, when it comes to the hate in the deen of Islam, is not like the foolish ones, but this is based on the truth and based on justice and based on what is good. So the companions radiallahu anhum are never to be said anything negative about them or anything that implies anything bad about the companions radiallahu anhum, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised them in the Quran. And as stated by Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah, وَنُبْغِضُ مَنْ يُبْغِضُهُمْ, we hate those who hate them, وَبِغَيْرِ الْخَيْرِ يَذْكُرُهُمْ, and those who do not mention them with khayr. Any companion of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, we say radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. Allah is pleased with them and they are pleased with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We only mention them with goodness. And what that means is a person should stay away from talking about things that maybe implies that the companions radiallahu anhum did something wrong. It's not that they're sinless again, but not to talk anything in a negative way about them. For example, the fitna that erupted at their time is to stay away from it. This is the way of the people of Ahlul Sunnah. Some people, they like to know the details of things. If you get to know these types of things, first of all, what is authentic versus what's not authentic. The second thing is, how would you secure yourself from loving and hating and inclining with your heart towards one and having some bad feelings towards the other because of the way that these types of narrations are. So to stay away. تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتْ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said. This is a nation that passed. They have earned what they've earned, and you have what you've earned. وَلَا تُسْأَلُونَ عَمَّا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. You won't be questioned about what they used to do. But since we have the Quran, we have the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ to follow, it's stated clearly that this is part of our religion, to love them, to follow the understanding of their religion, and to be warned against those who say anything bad about them, because it's basically they're trying to attack the religion of Allah. And this is the ways of the evil ones, by the way. And a Muslim should be smart enough to see that. When someone starts talking bad about or negative about the companions radiallahu anhum, what's the purpose of that? It's not necessarily just the companions, it's the religion itself. Once they destroy the level of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ in the hearts of the believers, then it's easy for them to attack the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, because they're the ones that carried that to us. So when we say we believe that they are righteous, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purified them from hypocrisy, from bad manners, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala clearly, again, He said, والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. When He mentioned the muhajirin and the ansar, He did not say anything about their characteristics, just the fact that they are muhajirin and ansar. When those who came after them, والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان, those who followed them with goodness, that means that by itself is praising the companions radiallahu anhum in the most perfect way. Because those who come after them, they're commanded to follow them. That means they are the ones to be followed. That means they are the righteous ones. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not command the ummah to follow hypocrites, for example, or those who have weaknesses in matters of their iman. And also when it comes to attributing any fusuq or any evil actions or sinful means to them, this is all not permissible, and to believe that they are righteous. And there is a narration that Anas radiallahu anhu, he mentioned, there was a part of a long hadith. So a man said to him, when he said the hadith, أنت سمعته من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, you heard it from the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم. So Anas radiallahu anhu, his face changed, and this was a very difficult thing for him. So he said, ما كل ما نحدثكم سمعناه من رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ولكن لم نكن يكذب بعضنا على بعض. Which means not every hadith that we say, meaning the companions, that means they himself physically heard it from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they would never lie to one another. So that means what? That means all of the companions radiallahu anhum are trustworthy, all of them are righteous. So it doesn't matter who narrated, who heard the hadith. If another companion heard it, that is sufficient for them to report that, because they're all trustworthy. So this is, the people of Ahl Sunnah agreed upon this. So as Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, he said that this is something that the people of Ahl Sunnah are agreed upon, that the Sahaba radiallahu anhum are all udul. That's why when it comes to authentication of the hadith, those who came after the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they are to be checked. But the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised them. So how can they check whether they really heard it or not hear it and things of that nature? They're all praised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in general. To follow them, to follow their understanding, especially the rightly guided Khalifa after the Prophet ﷺ, as we heard in the hadith. And this is really what protects the Muslim from falling into these deviations that the Ummah split it in. And we have to be really careful with the words of the Prophet ﷺ and to follow the ulama in this. Because the Prophet ﷺ, when he said, أُوصِيكُمْ بِتَقْوَى اللَّهِ, I command you to be obedient to Allah and to have the fear of Allah, وَالسَّمْعِ وَالطَّاعَةِ, and to listen and to obey, وَإِنْ عَبْدًا حَبَشِيًّا, even if he's a Abyssinian slave that is in charge of you, to listen and to obey to your leaders, without committing sins, of course, and this is the right that is going to be mentioned, inshallah ta'ala. But then when the Prophet ﷺ said that, and then he said to the companions, radiallahu anhum, whoever lives long among you, he would see all kinds of differences. And we see these differences in the ummah. So what to do? Who's right? Is this person or that person, this group or that group? The Prophet ﷺ gave us the criteria to know exactly who's right and who's not. He said, فَإِنَّهُ مَنْ يَعِشْ مِنْكُمْ فَسَيَرَى اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا. He said عليه الصلاة والسلام فَعَلَيْكُمْ بِسُنَّتِي, be upon my sunnah, be upon my way. The way of the Prophet ﷺ is clear. Someone might say, but I understand it this way. Someone understand it in a different way. He said, وَسُنَّةِ الْخُلَفَاءِ الرَّاشِدِينَ الْمَهْدِينَ مِنْ بَعْدِ, and the way of the rightly guided Khalifa after me. So this is the criteria to know what is right and what is wrong, is the understanding of the companions radiallahu anhum. And this is how the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ split it as a result of this. Those who follow the companions radiallahu anhum are saved. And those who start interpreting things from their own selves, thinking that the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ are open for everybody to interpret it the way they like, this is against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, and against what the Prophet ﷺ said, especially when there are differences the things that the Ummah split it in, how to protect yourself from that, go back and see how the Sahaba radiallahu anhum understood things and follow that. When it comes to matters of Aqidah, matters of belief, how did the Sahaba radiallahu anhum understood the Aqidah? What was the Aqidah of the companions radiallahu anhum? Did the Sahaba radiallahu anhum start altering the istiwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on the throne, or the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, twisting it and denying it and saying all kinds of things and learning ilmul kalam and philosophy and all of these types of things? Or they believed in what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam? The same thing with matters of ibadah, matters of akhlaq, to follow their ways, to follow the understanding of the companions of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. There are so many different things to be observed, and so many great benefits that unifies the ummah. When the ummah is united upon this way and methodology, and that is the Quran and the Sunnah, the way the Sahaba radiallahu anhum understood it, and they were firm upon it, and to follow their path. This is the way for salvation. This is the way to protect ourselves from these trials and tribulations. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from any deviation and to make us among those who are obedient to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Until next time, I leave you with the protection of Allah. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا راغبا في كل علم نافع
ينمو العلم ويتقدم بتقنياته ومجالاته، ومعه نطور أدواتنا في تقديم العلم الشرعي. أكاديمية
زاد أكاديمية ينبوعها صاف ليروي غلة الظمآن، ومكارم الأخلاق ندرسها معا، أدب وتربية على الإحسان. بشرى لنا زاد أكاديمية للعلم كالأزهار في البستان.